Hey everyone, Regal Reviews here. It is Valentine's Day and it is also Wednesday. Woohoo! So today I wanted to do a review on one of the show's most known villains, Robert Carlyle and his character Rumpelstiltskin. Rumpelstiltskin is definitely a villain on the show, and I know people were villains in the past, but they've changed, but Rumpel's been given many opportunities to change and he's always blown them. And he has no redeeming qualities in him whatsoever. Now, Rumple didn't start out as dark. He was married to Mila, but he was in the Ochre Wars and he injured himself because he didn't want to get hurt, and he had a newborn son at home, Balefire. So when he comes home, his wife calls him a coward, and that's how he's known as a coward, how he gets the nickname Coward. Now, what's interesting is that Balefire is Neil in Storybook, and Neil is Henry's biological dad, so that makes Rumpelstiltskin Henry's grandfather. Yeah, complicated family history. So, Rumpelstiltskin is known for the many deals he's made with a lot of the fairy tale characters and how you don't go back on a deal from Rumple. Um, it's also quite interesting because it also brings up the topic I mentioned in one of my past month's reviews, like what is true love, because him and Cora were together. It's the classic Miller's Daughter fairy tale, or I should say the classic Rumpelstiltskin fairy tale when he tries to teach her how to spin straw into gold, and in return she's supposed to give him her firstborn child, but that ends up being her own child, their own child, and Cora goes back on the deal. And you see in the Miller's Daughter episode, I think that Cora admits that Rumple was her weakness, that was her love, but it wasn't Rumple's. But when he met Belle, they kissed, and when they kissed, the green skin started to disappear. So that makes me wonder, are Belle and Rumple really true love? To go back a little bit, with Cora and Rumple, they were prophesized, which I thought was quite interesting because Cora was supposed to give Rumple her firstborn child, but she went back on the deal. And technically her firstborn child was Zelena, not Regina, because Rumple ended up teaching Regina magic and made her into the evil queen that we know, which is really kind of sad that he twisted and manipulated her that way. And he also tried to teach Zelena magic, but he preferred to teach Regina magic. Now, to go back to Belle, Belle sacrificed herself for her people and went to live with Rumple to be her maid, and I think their relationship is actually quite interesting to watch because they've been through a roller coaster. Their relationship continues to bloom, and they end up falling in love while she's under his control, but living with him. And she breaks one of the teacups, and she thinks he's going to be mad, and he just says, "Well, it's just a cup." And from what I mentioned before, that she tries to make the darkness go away from him, and it ends up angering him, so she banishes Belle, and he doesn't see her all through Storybook, and what we don't know is that Regina locked Belle up in the asylum for all the 28 years, and they end up reuniting, and Belle still sees Rumple as, she sees past the darkness in him, she sees the good in him. And the second season, he almost dies, but it ends up Cora being the one who dies because of Rumple manipulating Snow into killing Cora. You'll have to watch the Miller's Daughter episode to see what I'm talking about. And season 3 is all about him meeting Peter Pan, and this is actually quite twisted because we learn that Peter Pan is actually Rumple's dad who abandoned him because he didn't want to grow up at all. and be an actual dad, and he got to confront his dad, and Rumpel actually sacrificed himself for the town. He killed himself and his dad when he put a sword through them, so he'd put an end to Pan's curse in Storybrooke, and that was very heartbreaking to see Belle go through that, because she's tried so hard and she's just such a good soul. They end up marrying at the end of season 3, which I thought was nice that they got married. But I thought Belle's dress could have been a lot better than what it was. And they had some really nice wedding vows, and which was one of my favorite scenes in the show is season 4, when they go on their honeymoon and they go in this ballroom and they're all dressed like classic Disney Beauty and the Beast characters, and he snaps his finger and this record player plays Tale as Old as Time from Beauty and the Beast. Like, Rumbel is not one of my favorite. Well, actually, I guess you could say Rumble is one of my favorite ships. I do feel like they have the best scenes in the show. Well, Outlaw Queen is who I ship, but I definitely think Rumbel has some of the better scenes in the show, one of them being the one I just explained, and the other one being in The Miller's Daughter, which I mentioned in my Emily Durav interview, when Rumpel's about to die, and he calls Belle and says, I know you're confused about who you are, so I'm going to tell you. And he says, you're a hero who helped your people. You're a beautiful woman who loved an ugly man. And you make me want to go back to the best version of me, and that's never happened before. So when you look in the mirror, and that's who you are. So when you look in the mirror and you don't know who you are, that's who you are. And I just thought that was so beautifully written and beautifully done. It was amazing. It brought tears to my eyes watching it. Rumpel this season we actually saw him trying to be a hero because the darkness was removed from him, and it was into the Dark Swan Emma. But what we don't know is that he manipulated everyone again, including Belle, who thought he changed, and he is now the Dark One. He has all the powers of the Dark Ones in the past, so he's like the ultimate Dark One now. So I'm quite interested to see where his character is going to go now that the characters of Once Upon a Time are going to the underworld. I'm also very curious to see if they're going to tie in Emily's pregnancy into the show and see if we're going to have a Rumbel baby, because I do believe that would be very interesting to watch, to see Rumbel get a second chance of fatherhood, but also another chance with Belle, and even if Belle will give him another chance. Because Belle, I think, honestly has a lot of patience. I don't know how she puts up with Rumpel. She actually did date Will Scarlet, but she's very loyal to Rumpel and wanted to be there for Rumpel in his time of need. So we'll see where their relationship goes in the rest of season 5. Outside of Once Upon a Time, Robert Carlyle lives a pretty private life. I know he goes to San Diego Comic-Con every year with the rest of the main cast from Once Upon a Time, so if you're a fan of Robert Carlyle and you want to meet him, go to San Diego Comic-Con. If you want to see more of if you want to see more of Rumpel and Belle's relationship on the show, you can check out the new season, the mid-season premiere of Once Upon a Time, When Once Goes to Hell. It starts March 6th, 8 p.m. on ABC. I hope you enjoyed this Robert Carlyle Rumpelstiltskin review. And until next time, stay regal.